2 week layoff, but lots happened.
Yeah, I think the first week we took off was the Democratic convention.
Yeah, which was it? Well, no, it was
So
this. Yeah, and yeah, that's right.
that week, and then last week we just couldn't do it. Forgot why.
Yeah,
But
which is
damn.
fine because it's actually good because now we have a more coherent, or we have a more information to work with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess what happened? Well, the Democratic convention was so damn annoying, man.
I did
That
not watch any of it because I can't do it, and I already know what they're gonna say. So it's like it
just
just,
lies, bro. Like they're just lying through their teeth. I think that's basically the strategy, man. It's pretty obvious that they're just gonna lie. They're gonna rely on the perception of being winners, of that they have a path towards winning. Just the perception of it. That's it. They just gotta say. That's why I think they're even trying to steal Trump's ideas. Like just blatantly stealing the no tips for waitresses thing. Now she's stealing the border wall. What the hell?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so they're just trying to cover all angles and just say, well, see, well, we're for all that stuff too. So you don't need Trump. You could just vote for us. Like, even though they're lying, even though they know that they don't. So I think it's just the perception. They're gonna lie through their teeth all the way to the election, man. But
Well, and they're very arrogant about it because they know that they got the media behind them, and that you
yeah,
have the
yeah,
proof of that very thing with the tax on tips. Trump
yeah,
proposed that way before Harris did, and when Trump proposed it, CBS wrote an article, and it said, I'm paraphrasing, Trump wants to reduce or eliminate tax on tips. It's going to cost the taxpayers billions of dollars, millions or billions of dollars, some big number.
wow,
I don't
really?
remember the number. But anyway, it was a negative. It was a negative thing from CBS. Then Harris proposes the same idea, and their story, paraphrased, is Harris is going to eliminate tax on tips, which is going to help the working class, right?
Yeah,
So when she does it, CBS reports it as positive. The same exact idea that Trump proposed before, they said was negative. So the same exact policy is negative or positive according to CBS News based on who says it,
yeah, really.
not what it is. And so the people out there who are still watching the news and believe in it, like, you might as well just go to the CIA and say, "Hey, just let's get the MK Ultra out. Let's just go ahead and finish my brainwashing off because I'm all for it."
Yeah,
Right? You are signing up to be brainwashed, and it's right in front of your face, and it's a. I was telling somebody the other day, I I'm to the realization it's just so mind-bogglingly hard to believe
yeah.
how easily people are led around. And my conclusion is that maybe people are just not that bright, in general. Like, how can you be so easily manipulated so easily?
I think it's two
In
things.
the manipulation got you to give up your freedoms, right?
Yeah,
And you're cheering for it. It is such a bizarre phenomenon to me. Like, it's inconceivable to me that people could be this easily manipulated. And the cause of that, I mean, I know what they're doing to make it happen, but it would never work on some people. But a lot of people it does work on. And why would it work on some people and not others? I'm assuming they're just low IQ. I don't know what other thing it could be.
I think
Like,
it's a
you just not
combination of
that
that
bright.
and Trump derangement. I think when you combine the
Well,
two,
right, but Trump derangement is just another brainwashing tactic among many that they use. But my point is, an intelligent person would see right through that.
yeah. Well,
So
that's
it's, I
but
think
that's the
it's,
thing.
I
I,
think
I
it.
think if they're willing to let themselves believe the truth and see how manipulating the Democrats and the media is, I think they become Trump supporters. But the ones that are still hardcore against Trump and for Kamala, I think it's a combination of just that low IQ and just Trump derangement. I think most people are coming to their senses. That's why I got some videos I uploaded. A bunch of some ladies doing some sort of mom's podcast, and they're all coming around. Like everybody that at least was had some sort of intelligence and might have had Trump derangement, I think are coming around. Even a lot of the black population. You know, they probably all
Yeah.
used to think, Trump was just a racist, screw him. But now they're realizing, he's not. Like he's not so much, and
It mostly seems to be the biggest. And this is just my interpretation of what I'm seeing. Is it seems to be the group that seems to be the biggest problem in this, where they won't let go, and they won't. They're just on board with all this insanity that the media and the government pushes, is white women. A lot, not all of them, but a lot. But they seem to be like, you got black people telling white women, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're protecting you. We're protecting you against racism." They're like, "I don't need your help." "Nope, you do." Well, so you're saying they're stupider and incapable of you, which makes you a racist,
hold on, I
right?
got it.
Like it's such a bizarre thing. I mean, I would have never thought people could be this easily led, and that it would be white women as the generalization that are the majority. If you're going to put people into groups, that it would be, I think that percentage of white women is the biggest group percentage wise that is pushing this insanity. I mean, there's plenty of other people in different groups. I hate to group people, but that's what I've noticed. And so for me, it's more of like a curiosity of like, what is happening that caused that. And I'm not even sure what it is, but but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Damn, I had a video. I should have. Well, let me. I could put this one up real quick. You kind of see this one. That's what I was talking about. You should be able to hear.
Guys, what's happening is historic. For the first time in history, a presidential election platform is being based on children's health and chronic illness in America. This is a dream come true for most of the moms that I know out there, a lot of the parents, and people who just care about their health. So tonight on our Moms Connect call, Moms Across America, we're going to be discussing this issue: school lunches, food, pesticides, nutrition, GMOs, what you can do in your community, no matter who is in the White House, because what happens in your house is your decision. So join us tonight on the Moms Connect call at 7.
Well, she's talking about, obviously RFK. He
So
came
was
up with that.
she, or do you know if she was a previous
Well, I'm pretty
Trump
sure she's
hater?
saying this because of RFK, and he came up with the
Right.
slogan now: "You make America healthy again," and he's going to be
Okay,
focusing
so we
on.
can infer that she was.
Yeah, so she's saying, no matter who's president. I mean, obviously she's throwing in there that possibility that she doesn't care, but it's still
Right. So it's good to see
she's on the
that.
right side at least of
Yeah.
because
And the
Kamala's
RFK
not
thing,
pushing that shit.
the RFK thing, that's the most important political speech in American history since Reagan tear down this wall in Berlin. That's my opinion. I would say, and it may be, it's probably even more profound and important, that speech he gave. What an articulate, intelligent man whose integrity is intact. I would vote for him for president with no problem. And I know that there's some policies I disagree with him on. However, he is such a man of integrity, and he's smart, and all he wants to do is help the country and help people. So yeah, I would vote for him. That speech blew me away.
Yeah, I need to watch the whole thing, man. I got in the middle of it.
Oh no, I caught the whole thing,
Oh, did you?
and I watched it a couple times because it's a dude. Like, so what he said in that speech, and this is Democrat royalty. I know he changed to independent, but he's still Democrat royalty,
Yeah.
um, in this country. And so for him to come out and say, like he said, that the as far as the food goes, that in the 70s and 80s the tobacco companies were starting to get hammered, right, by the government, and regulations and stuff. It was on its way out, tobacco. So they took their money and they bought the food processing companies and the chemical plants. Then they took that, they got those, and the FDA and USDA that regulate food companies are funded 75% by the food processing and chemical
He
plants, not
explains
by
all
the
this.
taxpayer. Yeah,
Holy
not by
shit.
the taxpayers. 25% of their funding is taxpayer or government funding, but 75% comes from the food companies themselves who they're supposed to regulate. So what they do is the food companies are now in charge of the government regulation bodies because they're the ones that are funding them. So you either approve what we're doing or we cut your funding and you're out, you know what I mean? They're the boss. So what he said was that these food processing companies that are now owned by tobacco companies or chemical companies are now putting additives in food that make you addicted, like cigarettes. And this food is bad for you. There's a lot of bad things in it that will cause chronic illness and cancers and things like that. So now the food companies and chemical companies, what they do is they make billions of dollars off the people having to buy the food because now they're addicted to it. And then they'll make billions and then they'll pay the politicians millions for their campaigns to keep it going. You keep supporting us and we keep making billions off making people addicted to food that's harmful to them. And we want it to be harmful to them because now they're going to get sick. And when they get sick, well, now comes the pharmaceutical companies, right? And now the pharmaceutical companies, well, we got just what you need. We got a pill for everything, right? So now the pharmaceutical companies are going to make billions of dollars off all the people that they're intentionally making sick, and now they give millions to the politicians to keep them going and not do anything about it. So it's this big circle of money off of making people addicted to bad food that makes them sick, and then they come in and make billions of dollars off of the cure, which isn't a cure; it's just a band aid. But they get you addicted to these medications for life, so they have lifelong clients, and that's just one aspect. And then as far as, and I didn't know the Russian Ukraine thing, I was like, what's going on there? Right? I still, that's one thing that had still bothered me. I couldn't figure out why is this happening. It just seems like such a strange war. Um, and so he said the things you've been told about the Ukraine and Russia war are lies. He said what happened was in 2014 the CIA went into the Ukraine, overthrew the democratic elected government, put in Zelensky as a puppet. Then Zelensky and the Russians, when they got into it later in like 2019, started getting into a conflict. Um, I think it was they eventually they signed a peace agreement. So Russia and Ukraine signed a peace agreement. It was done. They both agreed to it and signed it. And so um, Biden got Boris Johnson to go over to the Ukraine and get Zelensky to tear that agreement up and go to war and
Yeah.
stay in war,
Yeah.
right? And so the reason he said the reason they did that was to weaken Russia. So the United States intentionally started the Russian-Ukraine war to weaken Russia and to once again we send all this military equipment over there, billions and billions of dollars of military equipment. Now our military contractors need to replace that equipment and upgrade it. They're going to do that, right? So now they're going to get billions of dollars in taxpayer grants from the government. And now these Northrop and all these different companies, contractors, now they pay the politicians millions. So the politicians it's all about money.
Yeah.
And then he said, and then on top of that, you were told we got to get Putin out of there. Why? He's a bad guy. He's a dictator. He won't let serious opponents run against him in elections. And he goes, but that's exactly what has happened here in the United States. It happened to me every time I got on a ballot. I got millions of signatures, more than anybody ever. And when I got on the ballot, I was taken to court in every state by the DNC to remove me from the ballot. And the same thing happened to Trump, right? So what they're accusing Putin of doing, they do, and and so it's just so basically, when you really just filter this down to what is he saying, he's accusing the Democrats and the government of the United States of war crimes to the tune of 600,000 dead and atrocities against their own people, especially the children of the United States, that they're intentionally poisoning for money. I mean, what he said there
Wow.
was you're killing millions of people intentionally to enrich yourself. That's what he accused the Democrat Party and the and some of the Republicans the government itself, the lifelong government people. So the people running things are intentional, and you got the BlackRock and everything behind that also involved. But it's all about money, and they're intentionally killing people to make money. So when I said that, I think what they're going to do is get people in so much debt, and then they'll collapse the economy, and then they'll get people on social credit, and you all have your social credit score, and they'll be able to monitor your behavior. If you're a good citizen, you have a good credit score. If you're not, you have a bad one. Well, we got to re-educate these bad ones, take them out to the desert. We're going to re-educate them, but they already got thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of coffins waiting, and they'll kill those people and just eliminate them. Less population, less climate issues,
Less
and less
resistance, yeah.
less resistance. So it sounds crazy that they would do that, but they're already killing millions, according to RFK. And in the way he says it, I mean, he's an insider. He's telling the truth, right? Look at what's in your food. Look at what's going on in Ukraine. Look at what's going on here. What Putin does. Putin's a dictator, yeah, but you're voting for a dictator here, and it doesn't even matter if you vote for him. They just rigged the election. But we have essentially a dictatorship here, and that's exactly what he said too. He goes, "We're in a totalitarian. Our government's a totalitarian, which is the same dictator synonymous." So it's just.
I got
He just blew everybody out of the water, bro. And then he turned to the media and said, and the media in this country is nothing more than a mouthpiece for the government.
yeah.
And then he turned to the media in the room and he goes, some of them are here. And I'll take a moment to ask you, what happened? Why would you be a mouthpiece for the government? You're supposed to challenge the anybody in charge, the authorities. That's your job. But you've advocated your job to becoming a propaganda mouthpiece for the United States government. So, I mean, he laid it all bare. Like, he laid out exactly what's going on. And it's one thing for Trump to say these things, but for RFK to say them also,
Yeah.
it's undeniable at that point. And the only way people can deny that, you either are evil, seriously stupid, or in so much denial, it's unbelievable.
Well, I got the video right here uploaded, and I think I figured out how to control the pause and play. I don't know, but it's a long ass video. Hold on, there's something I want to show you real quick. You're speaking about that white suburban women are like their
Well,
main.
it's what it looks like to me. I don't know for sure. I haven't looked at the numbers, but yeah.
Well, check this out. Oh god damn, it's not. Oh, there it is. That's why.
Hey everybody, here we are. We are doing our job. We understand our mission.
Oh yeah. When you understand your mission? What is it? Oh, it's joy. Joy is our mission. Joy of killing children by poisoning them with food and get them addicted to pharmaceuticals. Joy is our mission by starting wars overseas to enrich politicians in the military-industrial complex. It's all about joy.
But see,
it's amazing. It's amazing how stupid. Honestly, I hate to say it like that. I'm not a mean person, but I don't know what else to say. I could say it in a more eloquent way, but let's just be real. These people are stupid. Yeah. You're freaking stupid. They are poisoning you and your children on purpose. RFK told you so, yet you're going to go out on the street and cheer for your own destruction and your children's destruction.
Well, see, I always I start arguing with some people sometimes on X, and you'll try to explain things like that to them, and what they do is they'll just resort to, oh, that's just propaganda, it's just lies, and then they just continue with their whole rhetoric. Oh, Trump's evil, and you're the one that's in a cult, and blah 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 blah. So it's just people.
Well, what about RFK? Is RFK lying to him too? That's one of your own.
They'll throw that in there. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's mostly Trump derangement. Like they won't even let in something that you could be threatening them. Like yeah, you're poisoning your kids and stuff like that, and they'll just won't believe it because they hate Trump so much. Like they'll justify their own position based on their hatred of Trump. And just deny any information you try to give them. They'll just shut it down. But the other point on this right here to me is just kind of what I keep saying, that they're trying to create the perception that they have a winning path, but in the actual world on the ground, this is their support. This is it. There's nobody there. You know what I mean? There's nobody. Every time somebody goes out to interview these people, I think you probably saw those videos where they at the convention, they would go up to supporters and ask them, so what are your favorite Kamala policies? None of them could answer. None of them could answer what their favorite policy or what she stands for. Or nothing. Like, so it's all based on, oh, she's a woman, and yes, we just need change. Blah blah blah. Even stupid Ben Stiller, I guess, is saying that too. Oh, we just need change. That's all it is. And everybody's like, need change? Did you know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been president and vice president the last 4 years? Change from what? From your own the same people that you're still voting for? Like, you still like, it makes no damn sense.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you know what I hear when they ask them these policy questions? You know what I hear when they answer? Bah.
Yeah, really.
That's really what it is.
That's all I call them. You guys are just
and
sheep,
the same
man.
thing is, like, I hear people saying, I've heard people in person, at work and around, and on and social media, TV, everywhere. I hear this stuff. Well, if Trump gets in, we're going to do all these. He's going to do all these terrible things.
Understand the assignment. We understand the assignment.
Pause it.
All right, so you can see we are doing our part here in Harlingen, Texas. Yes, there you go. Yeah, you see the excitement.
11 people, I think.
There you go. All right, we love our pink flag. Look at that.
Yeah, there's other videos these people have posted, man. They're just cringe, man. They're just crazy.
Yeah, and so you hear a lot of people talking about, well, if Trump gets in president, he's going to do all these terrible things, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, Trump was already president, moron.
Yeah, nothing happened. Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost done. I mean, I guess I'm done with just the niceties. It's so like, you're just a moron, right? Like, he was already president. Did he do any of those things? No. So then what are you basing that off of? You have 4 years to base of what he's going to do, because he's already done it. So what are you talking about? And then to your point, well, if we get Kamala Harris elected, well, then things will be different. You have 4 years of her already. Why would they be different? Moron. Like, it's just moronic. I hate, like, I have a real hard time living in a world full of this idiocy. It's so frustrating. And maybe I got to calm it down a little bit. But
I think I told you a while back, I was arguing with a couple of friends of mine. We were like texting. But at the end, I just told them, you know what? At the end of the day, man, I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. But, the truth is the truth, man. And that's it. We'll just see what happens. Because it's just not even worth it arguing anymore. You're not going to convince some people. And you don't even need to convince everybody. I think Trump has the votes he needs. I think I've mentioned it before that in 2020, if at least his numbers are right, all they did was inflate Biden's. Trump got 60 million votes. So I think in 2024 that we could start with that number confidently. Those same people are going to vote for him again. But now we have way more people that saw how bad it is under Biden and the Democrats. And so he's going to have a lot more. So I think he already has. So we don't even need to argue with anybody or convince anybody. We don't need any more. We almost don't even need any more Trump supporters.
Really, all we need to do is protect the election.
Yeah. And so far, so good that I keep seeing all kinds of headlines about that. They're cleaning out the voter rolls everywhere. They're finding all kinds of illegal registrants, stuff like that. So,
yeah, there's a couple things that were kind of funny to me. Like, I don't know if you saw this clip. I didn't watch the DNC, but I saw this clip where these guys took this illegal immigrant from Venezuela to the DNC, and they said, hey, this is, I don't remember his name, Pablo or something, from Venezuela. He's an undocumented immigrant, but he wants to go in and support Harris. And they go, well, does he have ID? Oh, no, he's undocumented. They're like, well, he can't go in.
Holy crap.
So the hypocrisy Like these people on the street, we know our assignment. Okay, you're fine with Pablo coming into the country and being able to do anything, but he can't come to
Being
your
able to
convention.
vote. Yeah.
He can't come to your convention though, right? That wall stands. You're fine with that wall and that security keeping him out. That border patrol, that wall is fine with you. It's the hypocrisy is over the top, and this is what I'm saying. Like, how dumb can you be?
Yeah.
Right? That you're contradicting yourself in every way. And then another amazing thing is, so RFK gets more signatures than anybody ever
on Robert F.
running for
Kennedy
president.
Jr.
Oh crap! Hold on. Sorry about that.
That was
Yeah,
actually perfect timing almost.
yeah.
As soon as I said his name, boom. But let's make this point real quick. So he gets more signatures to run for president than anybody had ever gotten ever. And so he gets on all the ballots, and like I said, the DNC sues him. The DNC is suing Robert Kennedy to not run. They're like, oh, we decide who runs for president, not the people, right? And then the people are out there cheering for it. Yeah, dictatorship. I don't want any freedom. Poison me. You know what I mean? Like, how? So, but the funniest part of that is now Robert Kennedy wants himself pulled off the ballots in the battleground states,
Yeah.
and the Democrats are now suing him to keep him on.
Yeah. In Michigan, I think.
So first you can't be on. We're going to sue to get you off. Now we're going to sue to keep you on.
Yeah.
You see how full of shit you guys are?
Really.
Sorry, but
Yeah,
give me a break. And so you want to go, well, Trump's a liar. Trump's a bad man. You guys are pathological liars.
Yeah.
Like it's weird, man. Your glass house is gone a long time ago. You've thrown so many rocks through it. It doesn't even stand anymore. And yet you're still standing on this moral high ground that you don't have. And that's really, honestly, that's where this derangement comes in. Is what happens is they're fed this information that they're morally superior to other Americans and other people, and so they believe it because it feels good, and that's all they need. And then I'll do anything you want me to do. Just tell me I'm better than other people, and that's what they do. And they get on their moral high ground that they think they're on, and they run around destroying themselves at the behest of the people who lied to you and told you you had moral high ground. And you want to believe it so bad that the thinking stops, the emotions kick in, you run out and say, hey, come kill my children, come kill me. Like, what are you doing? You got a brain for a reason.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself I've been thinking about like recent podcasts, and I'm getting kind of aggressive and insulting, I guess, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth.
No, it's frustrating, bro.
I know
for sure.
people can't handle the truth.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating for sure. Just seeing the media itself, man. I mean, I keep going back to that. Man, I think the media for sure has to be the number one priority. If Trump gets in, if he has to focus on the media, man. They're just complete liars, man. They're just evil, man.
And the truth is, like, so what I was saying real quick is with what I'm saying, like I'm getting insulting and calling people morons and idiots because they're acting like that. Now, I don't want, and the people on the conservative side or the pro-American side, we don't want to think of you like that, and we don't want you to be like that. We would be super happy if you just thought for yourself, right? Think for yourself and make real decisions for yourself based on actual information and what facts are. And then whatever you decide at that point, man, I'm going to respect that. But you're not doing that. You're being told what to say, and then you go out and go, bah, bah, bah. We know what our assignment is, bah, bah. That doesn't mean anything. You're not thinking. Think for yourself. We want what's best for you as well and your children.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not your enemy. We're just trying to get you to stop trying to kill yourselves, your children, and ours. And take away your freedom, your children's, and ours. That's all we're fighting for. We're not your enemy. We're not fighting against you, but you're so brainwashed that we have to fight back on that. But we'd rather not have to fight with you and have you, make your own decisions. And even if you still chose that side, which would be weird. But if you did, at least if you were using facts instead of just talking points you're spoon fed by your master, then I could respect that.
No, no.
And everybody could respect that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's called freedom in America. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the point I made to my friends that I was arguing with, man. You guys are just using these old talking points, man. Like, you guys are watching way too much late night, talk shows and stuff like that. That's what it sounds like. So, I mean, but I could try to give them like facts, but it'll be like it'll go so far over their head they won't even understand it. You know what I mean? So, if they're not trying to understand, more than likely they're not going to understand what you try to tell them.
Yeah,
they're just stuck in their way, and that's it.
That's the truth. Most of this stuff isn't going to get through to most people because
Yeah.
they're. And you're right. We don't really need to convince them. I mean, if the election isn't rigged, like the last one was, and it's on video in Georgia, so for people who are election deniers, you guys are the election deniers. It's on video, them rigging it. Anyway, yeah, if it's not rigged this time either, then he wins by a landslide, maybe the biggest landslide ever. But so they have to rig it. And then they talk about the polls. Oh, it's neck and neck, or Harris is slightly ahead.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic that Pelosi, when she was telling Biden he needed to step down, she told him, you either step down, or I'm going to release your bad poll numbers. What
really?
bad poll numbers? What bad poll numbers? So what she said was the poll numbers that you're being force fed so you can go out in the street and talk about your assignment aren't the true poll numbers.
Yeah.
They're lying to you. I mean, how blatantly do they have to lie to you every day on all different subjects, on all different levels, never ending lying to you before you can realize, hey, they're lying to me. Well, Trump lies too. Everybody lies sometimes. These people are lying massively to your own destruction, and you're eating it.
Let me see. Yeah, I saw the new poll from Fox just last night, man. It just drives me crazy, man. 40, Kamala's up almost everywhere about like 1%. I'm like, that's impossible.
Oh,
man.
Fox News is full of shit too.
Yeah, man. But even the host, this dude, he was even saying, you know what? I don't. He said the poll like as if it was no big deal. But later on, I think he has to just play the part because he works for them. But later on, he was talking to people. Said, but I gotta admit, I really don't trust these polls. Back in 2016, they were saying, he made that whole point, that the polls were up for Hillary in 2016. But so we can't always trust the polls and stuff like that. But they're still putting it out there. But I think somebody
I'll
mentioned
give you an example.
Somebody mentioned on X that they put poll numbers like that sometimes just to kind of demoralize people, just to try to make you think there's just no way for you guys to win. So kind of just discourage you in a way, you know what I mean? But they know the truth.
They use every single thing in your life is used to manipulate and mislead you, and that is coming from the Democrat Party, the institutionalized government, and a lot of the Republicans as well, right? And so this is happening all the time. And I'll give you an example of Fox News that happened to me last night. So the guy I work with, he listens to Fox News every night, and then he told me, he's like, they were talking on Fox News about the Trump assassination attempt, and they were confused because they can't figure out, this guy's social media. It seems like he was, or his Google searches, like he was looking up Trump, he's looking up Biden. So they're like, well, does he hate Biden too, or does he like Biden? Does he like Trump? Does he hate Trump? It's like, bro, this is on Fox News, right? He's like, yeah. I go, okay. Did he try to kill Trump? Yes. Okay, we know he hates Trump. I don't care what he searched. He shot him. Right? Like, this is intentional distractions to get you away from looking at who ordered the shots. Right? So if he doesn't like Biden, if you found that somewhere, okay, what does that mean? How does that change anything? It doesn't. This is Fox News being bought and paid, trying to distract you. And I keep telling this guy, I keep pointing out Fox News and how and there's some people on there that are more legit than others, so they're not as bad as like a lot of the media, but they're still full of it. And I keep pointing out these sorts of things to him, and he just keeps watching it. But he's so for Trump and freedom and all the things we're talking about, but he can't give up his brainwashing. It's like people are addicted to this stuff. I mean, this guy, and the thing is, what they're trying to distract you from is the Secret Service, the chief of the Secret Service that took over for Cheadle, who resigned. When he came to Congress under oath, he lied to the American people and Congress about Crooks's social media account on Gab, and said that he was pro-Trump, anti-immigration, and pro-Israel. Then the owner of Gab released this guy's text and post on his social media account and said unequivocally he's pro-Biden, anti-Trump, pro-immigration, and anti-Israel. So the Secret Service came and lied about it. So you're going, well, I wonder what it means if he typed in Biden on Google search. It means nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. You've typed it in. Do you hate Biden? Do you love Biden? I don't know. There's no information there other than you wanted to find out something about Biden. Like it is, and it's an intentional distraction. Just like, was it a bullet that hit him, or was it a piece of shrapnel, or what, a piece of glass? Right? Yeah. What difference would that make? How does it? These are all intentional distractions that the government is putting out there through the media in order to keep you away from asking the questions that really matter. Who put him up to it? Who is really behind it? And if you're busy trying to figure out trying to interpret what a generic Google search means, you're not going to ever get that answer, and so you're lost in Wonderland.
Yep.
It's just it's so like mind-numbingly.
Well, check this out. Just speaking on kind of the media and just how manipulative they are. I saw this morning. Let me see if I could play this real quick. Because I can't upload it. Hopefully you can hear it. Choose audio device.
How do you explain now that Vice President Harris is seen as perhaps the candidate of change?
Well, thank you so much for having me, John. And it is our goal over the next several weeks ahead of Election Day to ensure that voters understand Kamala Harris is not the candidate of change, nor is she the candidate of the future. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States right now, and she is wholly...
How do you explain...
Look at this guy's tone of voice, man. And look at his facial expression.
How do you explain?
Yeah.
He's told what to say, and he repeats what he's told to say because he gets a nice lucrative contract. And if he doesn't do it, then they bring in the next guy and pay him a nice lucrative contract to push out public or government propaganda. It's all it is.
He asked her a question, and as she's talking it, answering it, and talking, look at his expression on his face, man. Like, this guy it's just horrible, man.
How do you explain now that Vice President Harris is seen as perhaps the candidate of change?
Well, thank you so much for having me, John. And it is our goal over the next several weeks ahead of Election Day to ensure that voters understand Kamala Harris is not the candidate of change, nor is she the candidate of the future. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States right now, and she is wholly responsible for the failures over the past 4 years. Kamala Harris said she was proud of Bidenomics, which has ushered the worst inflation crisis in a generation.
Kamala
Harris was named the border czar and has allowed an open border policy of more than 11 million illegal people into our country that has caused a migrant crime epidemic across our nation as well. Kamala Harris does not deserve a promotion. She deserves a demotion. And unlike Kamala Harris, President Trump has a strong record in his first term as president where he secured the border, unleashed the might of our energy industry, ushered peace around this world. And that's our case to make to voters across the country.
There's more domestic energy production right now than there's ever been in U.S. history, and Kamala Harris was not the border czar. She was appointed to deal with the Northern Triangle. But let me
look at that. Like,
but don't respond to that. I'm just going to say that, and I know you're going to prove me wrong. So let's move on.
Yeah, he wants to be able to say that and then just not even let her respond to that.
Right.
So
let me ask you.
Side fact, real quick. or side, why the hell are we using the word czar for government entities? That's Russian. That's Soviet. It's not even Russian. It's Soviet. The czar was the leader of Russia. We hate Russia?
Yeah. Well,
and she was in charge of the border. It's amazing. Like they
the one thing I do remember is that when he appointed, the videos I've seen, when he appointed her that, he didn't necessarily say that word, but the media used that word over and over and over, knowing exactly what her job was, being appointed that. So czar is a word that they used over and over.
Well, whoever, like the media, fine. The media hates Putin in Russia, but you call the vice president a czar?
Yeah.
It's like, it's so idiotic, right? It's
yeah, really.
Like, actually, though, it's kind of funny because actually what they want is czars. They want communism. So, but this guy right here talking, and anybody else you see on the news, other than maybe Newsmax, and who knows, maybe they're going to end up that way, and maybe they already are. I don't see it, but every other news I see it. He's not. When you see these people speak on the news, when you see these Harris speak, or Biden speak, or Pelosi speak, or Schumer speak, or McConnell speak, or Graham speak, none of their words are their words. If you keep that in mind, it becomes real clear. The words that they're saying are words that their puppet masters like BlackRock and Schwab and things like that behind the scenes are telling them, this is what you're going to say because we're the ones that own you. Yeah. Right? And so we act like this guy has his own independent thoughts, or anybody else on the news, or the politicians, but they don't. This is all scripted things to say by the actual people who are in charge, which you didn't elect, and you don't know who most of them are. And I don't even know who they all are, but I know Schwab and BlackRock and Soros and all those people are part of it. But there's going to be plenty more that we don't know. But this is not a genuine person using his own brain. And none of them are. They're just saying what they're told to say, and they're paid very well to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say right now. This guy's despicable for even wanting this job and being able to, push this whole narrative. But that little line he said right there, it wasn't about to let her answer. They probably put that on his screen somewhere. Say this really quick, and he has to just say exactly what they're telling him to say and then move on.
Exactly.
Like, they probably had that scripted exactly. Say these 2 sentences and move on to the next question. And so he's just, that's what that's their talent, that they're able to do stuff like that.
You might as well
and make it sound
look
natural.
at him. Yeah, you might as well look at him or any other person you see on the news or politician. Look at it like this. This is even a better way to put it. Look at it like ventriloquism. He's just the guy that the wooden dummy sitting on the lap of the guy who's talking but not moving his lips. That's what he is.
That's funny. That's one funny way to put it. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Well, let's see.
Follow up to my initial question here. Even if what you say, taking your argument there, if the voters in all these states are seeing the vice president as the candidate of change, does it tell you that maybe they are beginning to see a Republican?
50. That's just ridiculous. And this is a Fox News poll. So I think what they're saying about the polls is basically that they're not polling Republicans, or even if they are, they're just for ratings, just so that you're tuned in and you're on the edge of your seat. And this is like a big soap opera drama that you got to keep watching. Like, they're just, Fox themselves are just manipulating the numbers just to make it look like it's more, there's more tension and it's more interesting to watch and stuff like that. So, but just watching.
And the funny thing or interesting thing about this is now, as far as like polls go, and I'm going to talk about the conservatives, the Trump supporters. Like, I think most of them know the polls are fake, but there's still a lot of them. They'll get caught up in the polls, or like my friend on Fox News, he'll get caught up on what Fox News is saying as if it's true. Everything that's being put out there is propaganda. Everything. Yeah. There's very few things that aren't. So your default should be, it's propaganda unless I can prove it's not. Not that it's real unless I prove it's propaganda. Because most Trump supporters would agree, or all of them probably, that propaganda is running rampant in the United States in basically every possible way. But they'll get caught up here and there. Like one guy might get caught up with polls thinking they're real, but other stuff is propaganda. Everything else is propaganda. Or Fox News, those guys are real, but the polls are propaganda and everything else is. And it's like, all they got to do is get you sidetracked on one of these things and you're distracted. Google search Biden. It's just propaganda to distract you away from looking at what really happened, asking the real questions of who set up that assassination attempt. So that's even more frustrating to me, that you can't trust any of this stuff. It's all propaganda. It's all propaganda unless you see evidence that it's not, because they have integrated or inserted themselves in every aspect of American and world culture. Your schools, your workplace. We have to take DEI courses at our own work. Everybody does. So schools, work, everywhere. Media, government, you name it. Anything you want to name, commercials, whatever, sporting events, everything is propagandized. Everything. So you can go ahead and go, I'm going to automatically assume that it's propaganda because the overwhelming probability is that it is, unless I see evidence that it's not. I think that's the way to think now, which is counterintuitive to what it should be and what you would normally think. But this is the place where, we are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but yeah, it still bugs me. I mean, sometimes it works, but I know for sure just from watching videos like that, those Kamala supporters and stuff like that, that it's just there's just no way they could win unless they cheat.
I think agree. I think you think about it this way: the same person who will say the last election was rigged will start telling me about the polls right now as if they're legitimate.
Yeah, that's true.
So they rigged a presidential election, but the polls you're seeing are real.
That's true.
Nonsensical.
I guess I fall for the trap sometimes too. But yeah, you're right.
Everybody does, but most people do. But the thing is like, I don't know. It's you get what I'm saying. It's like, if they can rig a presidential election, how easy would it be to rig polls compared to that?
Yeah. And
the rigging the polls is part of rigging the election. It goes hand in hand. So how do you think they rigged the election? That's one part of it. So like and it's just this shell game that they play, and it's super obvious with a little bit of thought, and get your bias out of it. I don't care, right? I don't care who it is. It could be Trump. And if I'm starting to see bullshit from him and propaganda and lies and deceit and corruption, I'm not voting for him. Now, a lot of people still will. And on the left, for like Biden or Harris, I seriously believe this. Like, there's people I know that they could be in the room where Biden could shoot someone in the head and murder them who did nothing wrong, and they would still vote for him. I have no doubt that's true. That's how brainwashed this has all become, because it's everywhere, every moment of every day in your life. Yeah. They don't stop. It's everything. Your whole life is propagandized. So you become so brainwashed that you're going to support these people even if they murder someone, because you won't believe that there's anything wrong with that. It must be right.
Yeah. Well, the other question I was wondering, because people always go, Trump, this Karen, I think her name is Carolyn Levitt. I think she's a Trump spokesperson. She goes on all the MSNBC, CNN, but you never see Kamala's people going on Fox. They never go on the other shows to try to defend Kamala or nothing like that. So so it's good for her. But
nominee who's 78 years old and been running for president for 9 years. Is that beginning to have an impact?
Well, just two things on your earlier points. Kamala Harris was named the border czar. She was appointed by Joe Biden in that position. And the truth is the border has been a complete disaster. Everyone recognizes that. And energy prices, gasoline prices are still 50% higher today under Kamala Harris than they were under President Trump. And if you look further and deeper into these polls, if you look at the issues that matter to voters, like immigration, like the economy, like foreign policy, where we've seen war erupt all over this world under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, voters trust Donald Trump on those issues. They trust him because he, again, has a first-term record to stand on. And you brought up Donald Trump's age, so I do want to mention it. This race is not about age, it's about competence. And President Trump has proven to be a leader who can bring stability back to this world, who can bring peace through this world, who can make America strong again. And that's why voters trust him on the issues that matter.
She was not appointed the border czar. She was appointed to deal with the Northern Triangle. You say Donald Trump is the candidate of stability. You say that Donald Trump was the candidate.
So the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, wasn't responsible for the border. If you didn't actually appoint her border czar, those words, well, then they're not responsible for all the illegal immigration.
You explain now that Vice President Harris is seen.
You see what I'm saying? Like, they're in charge at the top level. The border is overrun, but it's not their fault because she's not the border czar. Okay, she's the vice president, though. Is she the vice president? Yes. So if the border's wide open, who allowed it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
well, that's the
these
point.
Are just word distractions, and she's kind of falling into it too. Like she's actually falling into this border czar argument, which is just get rid of that and say Biden and Harris are the president and vice president while this immigration catastrophe happened, so they're responsible for it. You can call her the border czar, not call her the border czar. I don't care. That is irrelevant. That's a distraction. They're responsible for it because they're in charge.
Yeah.
They want to take credit if anything goes good, but not when it goes bad. And so that's the way I would approach that, is like, if they're not in charge of the border, who is?
Well, it's just funny. Right after just the way they're trying to frame everything, everybody started making the point after the Democratic convention that they're trying to treat the situation right now as if Trump is the president right now. Like everything's so bad, and that she's gonna fix everything. And everybody's like, but wait, fix what? You've been vice president under Joe Biden for the past, 4 years. Like, everything's your fault. Like, how are you going to keep trying to blame Trump? Like, he's the incumbent. It's been you guys this whole time. So the way they're just trying to frame everything is just really just deceptive.
Well, you know how they do that. And this is done on both sides, but especially with Trump, is what happens is they go, when Trump was president and things went well, that's because of his predecessor's policies finally kicking in. So it's not to his credit, it's to his predecessor. No. And then when Biden and Harris become president and things go bad, that's not because of them, that's because of their predecessor Trump. So if they're in charge and things go bad, it was the guy before them that caused the problem. If things go well under their opponent, well, then that was their policies finally kicking in. So when they're in charge, they're not responsible for anything unless it's good.
Yeah.
And it's once again, mind-numbingly stupid that people fall for that. So I'm going to elect somebody. I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
I was about to post. Man, some of these videos aren't uploaded in the software for some reason. Hold on. There's one on that point of a rare time that they actually take credit. Let me see if I can do it super fast. It's only right here, real quick. Man, I'm just all over the software today. Hopefully, it doesn't mess it up. Screen capture. It's Gavin Newsom. They ask him, why is California so messed up? And he actually admits it.
Yeah, he's not very bright, actually, so I could see him getting caught up easily. But he looks good. Good enough. Check that box.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of pull off a lot of word salads and stuff like that. You ever see the video where they ask him directly like what would happen to the why is it that that California had a surplus when it became governor and then now it's in a deficit, and holy crap, this guy just talks for just forever, just explaining, not explaining, answering the question at all, but just talking out of his ass the entire time.
I know what the answer is. Racism. Institutional racism must be.
I think I don't know if that's the one, but he ultimately blames climate change. He said it was climate change is why. Yeah, no,
that'll work.
Okay, right here.
I mean, climate change is another one. Just while you're doing that, actually, we should do this. Bring up the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek in the 70s when they had on the cover the big freeze. And they had this picture of this guy on there that's all frozen and whatever, and you saw the whole world's going into an ice age. And all the scientists agree we're going into an ice age. This was only 50 years ago. Did it happen? Nope. So, but we should follow science, and all the scientists agree that it must be true. It didn't happen, and so now the world's going to burn. All the scientists agree.
Yeah, I might be able to find a video of a news report from the 70s about that. All right, let me.
Just the cover of those magazines says it all. You know, you got a guy on there that's like icicles all over him, and it says the big freeze. Right? You get the point. The world's going into a global ice age. Right? Scientists agree. Okay, scientists agree the world's going into heating up. Scientists agree. So what? They're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're trying to figure out a way how to impose all these new policies, probably the exact policies, and try to figure out which direction they were going to go in way back then.
Well, you even have the CNN producer caught on hidden camera talking about how they got rid of Trump. They take responsibility for that but then after that they go, and our next thing is going to be climate change. We're going to push climate change hard, and we're going to use fear to get it done.
No.
They admit it, right? And people will still go, no, I'm watching CNN. CNN is legitimate. Like I always say, like, if people were lying to you like that to your face in your regular life, your husband, your wife, your kids, your friends, would you be okay?
All right, we're good. Yeah, so we're talking about that video, of James Carville. Somebody, because he's just been posting videos like that, and he's done some interviews. So somebody posted that video of him talking like that, sounding like the Charlie Brown adults. That's from the Charlie Brown. Yeah. So I thought it was funny, but not this video.
He had the Charlie Brown shirt on too.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Hilarious.
This video, he's good. I've been telling people, man, I almost wish he was on Trump's side, man. He's a funny guy.
He's smart.
Yeah,
he was the instrument of Clinton.
Yeah, but I mean,
But I think he's kind of changed his tune a little bit.
But I think he's on the fence with like Kamala and all of them. I think he's just kind of forced into like supporting them because Democrat. He says he's like a proud liberal. He calls himself, but I think he's more of a common sense person. He's just kind of stuck in that situation.
Yeah.
So he's probably hoping they could get in there to eventually get a candidate that's more on what he prefers. But I'll check this video. I thought it was funny. Let me see.
All right
here.
If they get a hold, there will be no government left. There'll be no rights left. You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up Christian nationalism. But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues that I care about. If they get a hold, there will be no government left. There'll be no rights left.
See, that's funny.
You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up Christian nationalism. But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues that I care about. If they get a hold, there will be no government left. There'll be no rights.
Who's he talking about?
Well, he's talking to his own voters, and so he's just saying like,
No, but I mean, if who gets a hold?
If Trump wins, so
Oh,
he
okay.
so he thinks
Right,
it's going.
because Trump wasn't president already. I mean, hey James,
No,
take another
yeah,
shot
no,
of whiskey, bro. You
yeah,
seem
no,
drunk to me.
yeah, no. He always talks like that, but
He's an idiot. I mean, he's not an idiot. He's actually a smart guy, but he's just so like you could see in that it's all emotion. There's not a lot of thought there. And what is a theocracy?
theocracy isn't that I think I looked it up. I think he's saying like Christian nationalism. I think it's when the government is religion based.
Well, everything he has and has earned in his life and gotten came from that. Like this country was founded on Christianity. So if you're going to try to say Christianity's bad, then give all your success back. Because that's the back of what you got your success off of, and now you don't like it. Well, then why are you benefiting from it?
Nah, they're just trying to. It's like a scare tactic. They're just trying to make it seem as if it's gonna be, you know, what I mean, a fascist government that's just 100% based on religion. So he's trying to frame it that way as if.
Huh, I never heard that term theocracy, but yeah, it does make sense, and it is a religious-based government. But the United States has always been, well, up till now, um, a Christian-based government. If you go back to the founding fathers and look at their writings, which we have massive amounts of, almost all of them talk about how this country is founded on Christianity, and without that, it will fall apart. And guess what? We're getting rid of that, and it's falling apart. And this guy, maybe he's not as smart as I thought. He's, I don't know.
Also, I think he's
emotion.
just using scare tactics to try to scare young voters because that's exactly who he's talking to. So he's trying to make them think that is a possibility, even though it's not possible.
And what would be the threat of how is Christianity a threat?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like how?
The point I think he's just trying to make, but it's not even true. Basically, we've had freedom of religion. You know what I mean? Yeah, the country's based on Christian principles and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. But we don't nobody forces anybody to be a Christian. You're still free to practice your own religion. But he's trying to frame it as if you're not going to have that option anymore. It's going to be a fascist government, a theocracy,
well,
like a
Trump
true
was president
theocracy.
for 4 years. I mean, he was already president for 4 years, so why didn't it happen already?
Exactly, yeah.
It's just so stupid. Like it doesn't make any damn sense. Make sense to me, bro. Like if you're gonna, I think he was drunk, honestly, or maybe
probably.
I don't know, because like just his little childish, like he's acting like a child.
Yeah,
he's like this old man talking like he's 12. It's bizarre. Like I think he gets drunk and then emotional and then goes on, and you shouldn't be posting or dialing ex-girlfriends when you're drunk. Bad idea.
I just thought it was
But
funny.
I don't care. I don't care what he has to say anyway. It's just whatever.
All right. So we're at about. I think we're at now. I don't know. You want to check out these? Is there any other points anything you looked on?
I was going to mention the Newsom thing on homelessness. So my take on the homelessness. So I think it's funny because it's undeniable that we have the massive amount of homelessness in California compared to the rest of the country. The rest, it's everywhere, but here I think we have 30% of the homelessness here, of the entire homeless population. Out of 50 states, we have 30%. It's a ridiculous number, and so to me, homelessness in California is intentional, right? So for him, when they ask him what the problem is, he can't deny that there's a problem because it's massive. So instead of telling you the truth that we did this on purpose, he says, oh, we just failed. We thought that we were doing good, but we messed up, right? So that's an easier out for him, because if you're homeless, you don't have any power. No power means you're not going to challenge authority. And so that's what they want for all of us. I'm not saying homeless, but basically to strip you of your power. And your power is your money and your guns. And that's why inflation is so high, because they raise the price of energy in order to get everyone into debt, so that they are going to need the government to take care of them. And homeless are the perfect example of that. So I think it's an intentional act on their part to control and maintain power. So he can't say the truth. So he has to say something because it's real. So he says, yeah, we made some mistakes. And it doesn't much matter. California, we got more sheep than anybody. and they're all just going to vote for who the sheep herder tells them to vote for. Yeah. They don't think.
Well, it's actually multiple things because didn't they were saying that they set aside or they invested 50 or something like that, like $50 billion towards trying to end homelessness, and the problem got worse. So
right.
everybody's like, what the hell happened to that money?
$1 billion went to the homeless shelters, and $49 billion went to the politicians. And the people behind the scenes. So it's also just like everything else, they're robbing people blind. So it's and that also helps them maintain control and power. But wouldn't it be great if everyone was homeless for them? Great. I live in a mansion. No one can challenge my power and authority. I've got everything for life. There's nobody that can do anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do if you're homeless? I'm going to challenge your power. Shut the fuck up. No shit. You sit down and here's some heroin. Here's some opioids. Chill out. Have a good time on the street. We'll throw you some food once in a while. Maybe, give you a little bit of money here or there, and we'll provide you with all the drugs to keep your brain from functioning properly. And then we'll just take all the money. Yeah. I mean, they do need some people to not be homeless so they can make tax money too. But go to work. That's like, think about it. Like, most people live paycheck to paycheck. This is intentional too. So you go to work just to pay your bills and pay the government. No. You can't get ahead. And that's intentional. I mean, the whole system is rigged to control people.
Somebody wrote a quote, I guess, that Trump said recently. I don't know where he said it, but he said that if in California, if the vote counters were counting off of I forgot I don't know the exact quote, but
if Jesus counted the votes,
he would win. Yeah, I was like, he's probably right, man, because I see a lot of Trump stickers and flags everywhere, and I know for sure, also mostly majority Mexican. I think they align more with his principles than Democratic principles. Even the black population here, I don't think anybody's for the sexualization of children or this out of control trans rights and stuff like that. And I don't think the most of the population of the state, is for all that stuff, man. They just have the government of California just has it locked down, man. So,
well, it's funny. I'll give you a good example. This guy I used to work with, but he retired. This guy is maybe the dumbest guy ever. So I'll tell him, these policies of the Democrats, like the trans thing. Well, I'm not for that, and on and on and on.
Yeah. Then
who are you voting for? Biden. So you're going to vote for the person who's putting all these pieces in place that you hate. You know what I mean? Like, that level of ignorance or stupidity is it doesn't even seem possible, but it is happening. So it's crazy. And like another guy at work, I was talking, I don't know, I don't think I brought this up on the last podcast, but maybe anyway, he don't like Trump. And then Harris came out and she started talking, because we're in a union, and Harris came out, and he's a shop steward. So Harris came out and said that, grocery stores are price gouging in grocery companies. And that's, what we work for. So he's like, yeah, we're screwed either way, because Trump's terrible. And then Harris, she's going after us. And our company makes, the grocery industry makes like 1% to 2% profit. And so they're price gouging. And I told him, I go, well, why is Trump so bad? Well, he's anti-union. I go, really? So you realize that the Fortune 500 companies, the majority of that money went to Biden, their political donations. He goes, well, what about Bezos? I go, well, let's look it up. So I looked up Bezos. In the last election, he gave $9 million to Biden and $0 to Trump. And I told him, I go, is Amazon unionized? He's like, no. Did they want to be? Yeah. And who stopped it? Bezos. And who's Bezos giving his money to? Biden and Harris, right? And so that's who you would rather have. He doesn't really want Harris, but he was good with Biden. But Biden's the guy who's keeping the unions from flourishing. And then you don't like Trump, he's going to be a disaster. And I go, why? Was he president for 4 years? He goes, yeah. I go, did he hurt you? He goes, no. I go, so why would he be? Why would you say he's going to be? That's a bad choice then.
Yeah,
why?
Funny.
And he gave me some nuanced thing about the union that was like some little tiny thing that is kind of irrelevant in the big picture. So I told him, you got to understand that unions are private and public, and traditionally, as far as like Republican ideology goes, they're not down with the public unions as much as the private unions. They're fine with private unions because private sector unions, they don't take taxpayer funding. They give taxes, right?
Mm.
The public unions take taxpayer funding, right? And then they become corrupt, overbloated with administration, and et cetera, and everyone's making a lot of money, not doing much work. Private sector, you have to produce, or you're out of business, and you're taking no money from the government. So it's weird to me, like so many people in unions don't understand that basic principle, but they don't, because they don't want to think past that one move. It's just one. I have one thought, and that's it. Yeah. That's the end of my thought.
That's
like think it through.
Yep. They'll have positions, but if they're not willing to do the work, they're just going to be stuck on their dumb position that doesn't even make sense. That contradicts their other beliefs, So,
and this is how you get most people who do all this woke stuff: the reporters, the unions, all these different public unions. The people who are saying this stuff that's nonsensical. It's because they're getting a good deal financially out of it. And so they don't want that to go away. It's all about them. Forget the greater good. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
It's very selfish and way to think.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, let's check out this this collage I made, bro. See if...
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. Oh, great. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yep.
So let me see if I can zoom in. See if we can go down. If you agree. So I put Lyndon Johnson in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wait, hold on. I thought
the guy who said he'd have the N-words voting for Democrats for 70 years.
Yeah. Okay, right
hey,
there.
And then black people are like, yeah, we're going to vote for Democrats. And they did exactly what he said. Like, he calls them the N-word and says, I'll get these N-words voting for Democrats for the next 70 years. But Trump's a racist. The Republicans are racist. It's on tape.
Let's see, I thought I could move it as I'm doing it live.
I can see him.
And then I got Donald Rumsfeld next to him. I got Dick Cheney. I got Zbigniew Brzezinski. You can never pronounce his name. I got below them. I got George Tenet. He was head of the CIA during 9/11. I got Cofer Black. He was in charge of I think the Taliban. I think he was. So if anybody knew what the hell Osama bin Laden, should have been this guy, but he's the guy that George Bush liked because he used the term heads. We're gonna put their heads on a pike. This investigative reporter Jeremy Scahill, he quoted that, saying that George Bush liked that. He said that he called them the heads on a pike guy. And then we got John Brennan? Okay. Yeah, John Brennan. He's the head of the CIA. He was the head of CIA under Obama. They're saying that he's the guy that started the whole Russiagate. Him and Kofi. Crap, I got it. I know all their names. I just forget. There's too many damn names to remember.
Right.
What's this right here?
I recognize most of them.
I was just stuck on this. Hold on 1 second, Dan. Okay, go. Yeah, James Comey. So James Comey and
James Comey, the head of the FBI.
Yeah, James Comey and John Brennan. So they were the CIA and FBI, and they were the ones that started the Russiagate thing.
These are the people who kill presidents and the people in that position. It could be them, it could be their predecessors, and it could be the people in the future. These are the people who are these are the people who in those positions that Crook shooting Trump. It's because of the guys that lead those agencies right there. Well, it's not just because of them, but they're the ones that have been given the orders, and they're the ones that can facilitate such things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Head of the CIA, and the next guy is James Hayden, or Michael V. Hayden. Sorry, he was the head of the CIA under Bush.
Oh, okay.
And then the guys, there's two guys right here. Hold on, let me see if I can zoom in on them. So you got Bill Gates right in the middle, and I'll explain kind of the order I did it. But the two guys on the left and right of them, the guy, oh shit, is my thrust up here? Oh, it's kind of
Isn't that Fink from BlackRock?
Yeah, that's Larry Fink.
Yep, Fink. That's the guy who's really, really fucking things up around the world, and he tells you he's going to do it on tape. He tells you he's going to force you to change your behaviors on video. I don't care what behavior it is. Who does he think he is to tell the world he's going to force them to behave the way he wants?
Yeah, that's
like, I don't care if you agree with the behaviors he's changing or not. The fact that you're okay with somebody telling you, I decide how people behave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy too. I mean, the amount of power that he has. I mean, is BlackRock a corporation? Like, do they have a board?
It's the biggest investment organization in the world.
So, but is it an LLC? Like, it has like a board, and he's voted in to be the CEO. He could be voted out. Is that kind of how?
I don't know about all that. It probably does, but it doesn't matter. He's in charge.
Yeah, like he's in charge for sure. Like, just carrying out their policies.
You might as well look at him as the owner. The way he operates it, he's basically the owner, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. Then the other guy right here, to the right of Bill Gates, is Mortimer J. Buckley. He's the head of Vanguard. So Vanguard and BlackRock are the two. They're like similar.
Yeah.
And then what I put at the top, at the head of the snake is what I think the two people that are pushing everything, which is Schwab.
Yeah.
That was his name. Klaus Schwab and Xi Jinping. What was it? Xi Jinping?
Yeah.
So I think Xi Jinping's the social credit system in China is what Klaus Schwab wants for the whole world. They want so basically these two guys are the ones in charge of it all, I think.
You know what we're looking at here is a bunch of Democrat aligned or socialist aligned, communist aligned. They're all the same thing. Billionaires and multimillionaires.
No.
It's all white too. That's weird. But I thought the Democrat Party hated billionaires and white people who are dictators and fascists. You're looking at fascist, dictator, billionaires that are mostly white. And these are the people you vote for. And you go out in the street and yell at other people who disagree with you. How dare you don't think just like me? You need to vote for these dictator billionaires that are mostly white. No. But we hate dictator billionaires that are white. This is how ridiculous people are.
I know I could have put some black congressmen in here, but I mean, I didn't see anybody that made any sort of impact.
Right.
I got some black people in here, but yeah, you're right, man. Like I said, at the very top, there's no black men. All these
white people ruling the world. All these white people ruling the world.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. Mostly men too. I thought we didn't like white billionaire men. You know, I thought they were bad. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, really. There's a better way of doing this. I can. It's kind of the pain.
I mean, we don't have to go over every single one. I get the idea.
I got a lot. So yeah, maybe one day we'll.
I'm kind of curious to see the other list.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get the other one. Okay, so that's why I have. This is an old one I did. I added a bunch of people, and some of the people I added or that are in here, I think I took out some, but I was just mainly trying to put the like influential people that have shown. Some of the people that are questionable to me, they shown, you know what I mean, like they had common sense.
Yeah.
Knew the right way, but yeah, so I got Trump. You know, hold on, there's another way of doing this. Hold on, let me see if I could hopefully I don't. over. Let me see. Okay. There. Here.
Yeah, and these are mostly rich white people too, right? So the point is, you can have rich white people that are good and evil, and they seem to choose the people that are evil over the people that are good.
Yeah.
Because I don't really care what color you are or how much money you have. Doesn't decide your character. But that's the world they live in. If you're a white man and you're rich, you're a bad guy. Yet all the people they support are almost all white rich men. Well, if they're bad, then why are you supporting them? You're fucking dumb. Your logic falls all apart. And I don't subscribe to that. I think people are individuals, and you judge them based on their actions.
Yeah.
Based on, regardless of color, ethnicity, and gender.
How my mouse go? Sometimes things are messing up already.
You know, a funny thing I heard, just to make a quick point while you're doing that. You know Ilhan Omar?
Yeah.
The Muslim congresswoman who hates Jews?
Mm-hmm.
So there was another Muslim guy, I don't know who it was that was speaking, but he was somebody high up in one of the Muslim countries or whatever. But anyway, he's a Muslim man, and he was talking, I think it was Tucker Carlson, and he told him, he goes, you know, Ilhan Omar, now she supports abortion, right? She wants Americans to have the right to abortion. Yet as a Muslim woman, I can guarantee you that she would never abort a baby, ever. So she supports Americans killing their babies, but not Muslims. You Christians, kill your babies. I'll never do it because it's against my beliefs.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
This thing kind of messed up my. Oh yeah. This thing messed up my mouse. So I can't even click on anything now.
Huh.
I think they're on.
Well, you have a whole lot more people on that list than I could think of. I would probably, my list would, the pictures I'd put in that box, off the top of my head, I don't know. I might have a dozen. I don't know who they all are, but, and you might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong about them. I just haven't given it a lot of thought. But there's not a lot of people that, like I said, with the propaganda, same with the people. Until they prove themselves trustworthy, I'm going to assume they're not, because that's the way things are now. It's inverse of what it normally is, where you could trust people until they break your trust. Now you got to assume that they're not good people until you can prove they are, and that's just the realities of the way things are now.
Yeah.
And I could tell you, like a lot of people, like even Comer now, he's talking about going after. He's opening some investigation. I can't think of it right now, but all of a sudden he's got a new one, and it's like, I don't trust you at all, dude. I don't care how you talk. You had Biden dead to rights on impeachment for money laundering, foreign aid, becoming just taking money from our enemies, running it through 23 shell companies, enriching your family so you're all multimillionaires through politics, and you did nothing about it. So I don't care about your investigations anymore. I know you're full of it. You just talk.
James Comer? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got...
his actions don't match his words. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what they say about this
I don't know.
Here.
James is his first name. I
don't know if I have him on here. Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan's kind of, people feel the same way about him. That he could have defunded Jack Smith with the whole election interference trial that he keeps trying to push on Trump. But he was talking crap about Jack Smith, but he had the opportunity, didn't do anything.
Holly?
What's that? Yo, Dan, I think you might have cut out, bro. Oh, Josh Hawley, I think you might have said.
Right. He's legit.
Okay. I think we might be having that problem again, bro. I think you might have, I think there might be a delay again.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, I can hear you, but I think we're
No, that was on time. That was on time.
okay. You can hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, did you say Josh Harley?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's right.
awesome.
I got him. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, as far as people like senators, I got. Oh, what the hell? This thing changed. Oh, what? I can't even zoom in.
I haven't seen anybody on there I disagree with yet. So
Steve Scalise, Thomas Massey. People like Thomas Massey a lot.
yeah.
Hell, nobody that really stands out. Tommy Tuberville, I got. See, I got JD Vance over here.
And I can't, I know he's running for vice president. He's Trump's running mate, but I didn't know anything about him before that, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah, no, I'd seen him, and I forgot what he was talking.
Trump.
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about, but I seen him giving like some sort of press conference. I thought he spoke really well. I thought he was like really good.
Yeah. What I've seen from him, heard from him, I have no problem with. I like, but I don't think I have enough yet to really be convinced. But I trust Trump, so we know our assignment. It's
Yeah.
joy. We're full of joy. Joy.
I had the video. See if you want to check this out real quick. It's freaking irritating, lady.
Never let anyone take your joy from you.
Fucking idiot.
I call myself a joyful warrior.
Oh my god.
You're a moron.
Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you. Never let anyone take your joy from you.
How can anybody? She's so
So she's finally gonna do an interview, right? Yeah. And people will. It's funny because some people will buy this. She's gonna do an interview with her running mate. It's gonna be pre-recorded and edited. That's not an interview.
And she might have the questions ahead of time.
It wouldn't matter if it's not live.
No.
And you're going to a propaganda network that supports you. They're going to do everything to make it look as good as possible. They're going to make it look fabulous because they have all the time in the world. If they ask her a question, she's running mate. It's going to be pre-recorded and edited. That's not an interview.
And she might have the questions ahead of time.
It wouldn't matter if it.
What had happened with that guy, if you remember, was once he realized how bad the immigration issue was going to be for New York, he started being outspoken about it, and then he wanted to plan a trip to the White House. And on his way to the White House, they raided his offices. And that fool, he had to cancel the White House meeting and come back to see what was going on. And then, sure enough, nothing. You don't hear nothing about it, but yeah, had to do something with the campaign financing.
Right.
But yeah, after that, he started again supporting the immigration policy. Like
right.
so.
Right. Yep. And they got him. They opened a sexual harassment on him too.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
So. Yeah. They're like, hey! Did you speak out of line? Did you criticize the deep state? Because what happened? If you do that, it doesn't matter what side you're on. They're gonna do this. The CIA, FBI, they're all corrupt, and they're gonna come after you. So what happened with him though was he was all for this sanctuary city stuff, but all these Latinos from across the border started coming into New York and displacing black people and causing hardship within what he considers his community. And now he's got all these black residents of New York going, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You're hurting your own people, right?" I don't like to think about it like in these terms, like of black people, brown people, but that's how they think. So that's why I'm explaining it this way. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden he's got his community up his butt going, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" Right. And so now he's like, well, I got to help the black people because they're my people. Yeah. So they're more important than this problem. And the government said, I don't think so. He's even on video before he became mayor. He was like high up in the NYPD. And he's talking to a bunch of black officers, and one of them recorded this. And he's like, man, you stand up to the cracker. I've been kicking crackers' ass for years, right? Really? So he's openly racist against white people for sure. And of course, white liberals have no problem with it. They'll vote for that all day. Yeah, I'm a terrible person because I was born with a particular pigment. Like, but anyway, that's the funny situation there is he criticized them because his own people started coming after him, and then he had to backtrack because it's like, well, they're gonna throw me in jail, and he probably didn't even do anything wrong, or maybe he did. I don't know.
Well, nothing's come of it, so it must have been not have been that serious.
Oh no, it could have been. It could have been. He could have been committing all kinds of crimes, and that's fine. They don't have any problem with you committing crimes as long as you're towing the line for the deep state. And then once you question them, and you have all these things that they know about, then they'll come after you and prosecute you for them. And if you don't have any of these things, then they'll just make them up and prosecute you for them. It doesn't matter. They have the judges, they have the prosecutors, they have the CIA, the FBI. They have everything to do these things. You are powerless against the deep state in that situation. And he found out real quick. Now, whether he's guilty of any of these things, I don't know. And it doesn't matter because he's allowed to be guilty of these things as long as he does what they want.
Yep. All right, Dan. So
he's been kicking cracker ass for years. And he'll probably tell you Donald Trump's a racist. I bet you he said that. I don't know, but I would not be surprised to hear him talking about how Donald Trump's racist while he's openly saying racist things.
What's that other the Reverend, not Jesse Jackson, Reverend, the guy used to be fat, now he's all skinny.
Oh, Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton, that guy, that's a trip, man. The way he used to talk back in the day, and that fool's just towing the line now, man.
Oh yeah. No. It's like you do the deep state's bidding, and you're gonna have a very lucrative life. If you don't, then you're going to be in big trouble, period. If you have any power. People who don't have power, they don't care about, right? Because it doesn't threaten them.
Yeah.
I mean, they care about, eventually they're going to care about you because they're coming for everybody. But right now, they're locking down everything on the power level, and then they'll go to the people who have less and less power and work their way through the entire world population that way. That's what I think is going to happen.
That's crazy. I got this video over here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I downloaded it from Twitter, but let me just play it real quick. See what we think of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to China. From the imperial palaces of Beijing to the skyscrapers of Shanghai, experience the unique blend of past and future. Enjoy your time in China.
I mean, that just sounds bad.
I can fix that.
Like not what they're saying, but
all that stuff is the trains. That is.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah, I should have checked that out. I watched it I forgot why I downloaded it. I don't remember.
What's that?
I forgot why I downloaded that.
It sounds ominous.
Yeah, but I don't know how.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your enslavement. It's a great, wonderful thing. It looks pretty, but you're gonna be living in squander. You're gonna be living in squalor. I mean, that's what it sounds like, the way the voice is on that. But
yeah, it might have been something. Yeah, well, the account that I always talk about, that he's posting like all these videos just showing the social credit system in China. He posted that, so I thought it might have been a little different, but. All right, so
coming to a city near you soon.
Yeah. The last video I think we talked about earlier was just, I don't know if you want to check out just little pieces of RFK's speech when he play real quick. So,
definitely most important speech of our lifetimes, probably.
All right, maybe we could just finish on this. Just talk about it real quick.
Bring on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I'm sorry to keep everybody waiting. 16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money.
Hold on quick. I'm going to start this. I'm going to try to skip ahead, but I want to be able to pause it if we say anything.
I mean, just that right there, he leveled them.
Yeah.
When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the 16 months ago in April of 2023, rules for collecting signatures. I would need over the party in October because my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hopeful that they could reverse our nation's decline. Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers' markets. They canvassed door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117-degree heat. To finance this effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I want to thank all of those dedicated volunteers. Six in 1960. Also, without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent.
Did I skip a big chunk?
Skip some.
Oh,
I don't know how much.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. I clicked something and it froze. All right, let me see. Let me see if I go back quick.
And to subvert the will of the voters who had signed those petitions, it deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters.
Real quick, what did I skip? Is there a part that they spoke of that you remember?
No, you're good. Yeah, I think you're fine.
Was around there? Okay.
No, I think you're fine. I don't think you skip very much.
5 days. This is profoundly undemocratic. How are people to choose when they don't know whom they are choosing? And how can this look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, the role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days. I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me. Some days I do as many as 10. President Trump, who actually was nominated and won an election, also does interviews daily. How did the Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate during the entire election cycle? We know the answers. They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters. What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, and that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs. Over the course of more than a year in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s, the DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, the duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power.
That's dope.
You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. This week, a federal judge, Terry Doty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America. Doty's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, President Biden and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA, which is a censorship agency, it's the center of the censorship industrial complex, DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards. 2 days after Judge Doty rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition calling on ABC to include me in the upcoming debate. They said that violates community standards, their community standards. The mainstream media was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, and it's joined this systemic attack on democracy. It also, the media justifies their censorship on the grounds of combating misinformation, but governments and oppressors don't censor lies. They don't fear lies. They fear the truth, and that's what they censor. And I don't want any of this to sound like a personal complaint, because it's not. I For me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with. But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us doing the thing that we need to do as citizens in a democracy to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks like, and the assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe. And are we living up? Are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters, thanks to the alternative media. Many months ago, I promised the American people that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone who will alter the outcome of the election but has no chance of winning. In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory in the face of this relentless systematic censorship and media control. So I cannot in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers to keep working their long hours or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path to the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name my name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics. I can say to all who have worked so hard the last year and a half, thank you for a job well done. 3 great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. I've already described some of my personal experiences and struggles with the government's censorship industrial complex. I want to say a word about the Ukraine war. The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar comic book justification, like they do on every war, that this one is a noble effort to stop a supervillain, Vladimir Putin, invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe. In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy in a geopolitical struggle initiated by the ambitions of the U.S. neocons or American global hegemony. I'm not excusing Putin for invading Ukraine. He had other options. But the war is Russia's predictable response to the reckless neocon project of extending NATO to encircle Russia, a hostile act. The credulous media rarely explained to Americans that we unilaterally walked away from 2 intermediate nuclear weapons treaties with Russia and then put nuclear-ready Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland. This is a hostile act. And that the Biden White House repeatedly spurned Russia's offer to settle this war peacefully. The Ukraine war began in 2014 when U.S. agencies overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine and installed a hand-picked pro-Western government that launched a deadly civil war against ethnic Russians in Ukraine. In 2019, America walked away from a peace treaty, the Minsk Agreement, that had been negotiated between Russia and Ukraine by European nations. And then in April of 2022, we wanted the war. In April of 2022, President Biden sent Boris Johnson to Ukraine to force President Zelensky to tear up a peace agreement that he and the Russians had already signed, and the Russians were withdrawing troops from Kiev and Donbass and Lugansk. And that peace agreement would have brought peace to the region and would have allowed Donbass and Lugansk to remain part of Ukraine. President Biden stated that month that his objective in the war was regime change in Russia. His Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, simultaneously explained that America's purpose in the war was to exhaust the Russian army, to degrade its capacity to fight anywhere else in the world. These objectives, of course, have nothing to do with what they were telling Americans about protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine is a victim in this war, and it's a victim of the West. Since then, of Russia and both Russia and the West. Since then, we have, since tearing up that agreement, forcing Zelensky to tear up the agreement, we've squandered the flower of Ukrainian youth, as many as 600,000 Ukrainian kids and over 100,000 Russian kids, all of whom we should be mourning, have died, and the Ukraine's infrastructure is destroyed. The war has been a disaster for our country as well. We squandered nearly $200 billion already, and these are badly needed dollars in our communities, suffering communities all over our country. The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage and the sanctions have destroyed Europe's industrial base, which formed the bulwark of U.S. national security. A strong Germany with a strong industry is a much, much stronger deterrent to Russia, and a Germany that is deindustrialized and turned into just an extension of U.S. military base. We've pushed Russia into a disastrous alliance with China and Iran. We're closer to the brink of nuclear exchange than at any time since 1962. And the neocons in the White House don't seem to care at all. Our moral authority and our economy are in shambles. And the war gave rise to the emergence of BRICS, which now threatens to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. This is a first-class calamity for our country. Judging by her bellicose, belligerent speech last night in Chicago, we can assume that President Harris will be an enthusiastic advocate for this and other neocon military adventures. And President Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign. Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic, to protect free speech, our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government, or to defy the neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration. I'm speaking, of course, of Donald Trump. Less than 2 hours After President Trump narrowly escaped assassination, Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy. Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years. I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and closest advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues. In those meetings, he suggested that we join forces as a unity party. We talked about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately and fiercely, if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. We are aligned with each other on other key issues like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children, above all things. In case some of you don't realize how dire the condition is of our children's health and chronic disease in general, I would urge you to view Dr. Carlson's recent interview with Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, who is the top graduate of her class at Stanford Medical School. This is an issue that affects all of us far more directly and urgently than any culture war issue and all the other issues that we obsess on and that are tearing apart our country. This is the most important issue. Therefore, it has the potential to bring us together. So let me share a little bit about why I believe it's so urgent.
You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we're at 36 minutes, bro. So combined with the other clips.
Yeah, you're good. The rest of this is just him talking about the statistics of chronic disease and stuff.
Yeah, no, I want to hear that, man. Maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah, you do want to hear it because it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, so then, yeah, maybe we'll play the rest of it at the next show or something.
Yeah, because this whole speech, I think, is 48 minutes.
Yeah, this is barely around halfway, a little more than halfway through it. Okay. I just want to play one more video real quick. We'll just end it. Basically, when when he goes to when Trump introduces him, we'll just finish.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah. I got the one where they have where he walks in, somebody's behind him. Let me see where it's at.
Of course, the Foo Fighters are suing.
Oh, are they? Who cares?
Oh yeah,
That
they hate Trump. The guy's a moron too.
Yeah, that sucks, man. All these people.
How dare you use my song? What do you think this is? Freedom?
No, man.
I stand for freedom, but not for you. Well, then it's not freedom, idiot.
Yeah, that sucks. All these celebrities, man, that we all grew up on ended up being scumbags, man.
Yep.
All right, so then, okay, so just watch this real quick. That was a pretty cool video. I think this is like a really historic as. Why would they put that picture there? Yeah, I was wondering about that song. I was like, damn, did they get permission? I mean, would they have allowed that? Every song Trump tries to use, man, they end up like trying to sue him for it.
Trump knew he was going to get sued for that, or he's going to try to come after him. He's like, I don't give a crap. Screw you.
Yeah, nah, that was a historic, man. That was a good one. That was a good song.
That speech was magnificent.
Yeah.
And then that intro right there was also, but wow. And then the crowd was like, Bobby.
Oh, really?
like he can't even get his own party, his own family to support him. But he goes to the opposition, what's supposed to be the opposition, and he gets welcomed like that. And that's my point earlier, talking to, people who are, out there cheering for their own destruction. We welcome you in, right? With that sort of enthusiasm you see right there, you're all welcome to that. And all we're offering is freedom, prosperity, and health.
Yeah.
For everybody. That's it.
Yeah, how could you?
RFK sees it. I mean, but he leveled the Democrat Party, bro. And I was funny on CNN. They're like, I couldn't understand a word he said. Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
you could, because he told you exactly the piece of crap you are, and you are because you're willing to take money for other people's death and destruction.
Yeah, they're being petty, man. They were like just saying some low blow type of stuff. You know what also sucks, man? It's a sad situation, man, that his sister came out like against him. She was even like a guest on MSNBC, just saying that.
But they're not really against him. Just like that reporter when he was interviewing the Trump lady, he's not really against her. It's what they're for. They're for money and privilege, and that's where their money and privilege comes from. So they have to do what they're told to do if they want to keep their lifestyle. Yeah. So they don't really care. You could tell them, you support this, you support that. It could be complete opposite things. It's fine. Whatever you say, as long as I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And that his whole family's that way too.
The other thing is kind of weird. Like, what the hell's up with their voices? She has almost the same voice that he had before. I guess he lost his voice for a little while. And he got an operation, he said, in Japan, and that's why he was able to run, because it kind of fixed his voice a lot more. But his sister has the same like it's like a vibration, like a weird.
Yeah, I don't know, some genetic thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure, but I don't know. But his voice, it makes it more difficult to listen to. But it's not. But you can understand every word he says.
Yeah, he's a lot better.
I'll tell you what, man. You tell me somebody who can lay it out that well. I don't know anybody, including myself, who could lay out that case that well, that articulate, without bloviating. He just made his point clearly, concisely, and he didn't have to. He didn't slip up. He didn't get sidetracked. I mean, it was just brilliant.
I was going to ask, you think he was reading from a teleprompter?
He couldn't have. That's like 48 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have read from a teleprompter, but I don't think he was. He might have had a teleprompter, but But I think, honestly, I think if you just sat down with him, he could pretty much do that without a teleprompter. Even if he had one, he could do pretty close to that.
Well, hell, even if it was a teleprompter, if he wrote all that, man, he just went from great point to great point, and like in a good in a good order. Like one thing led to another. So,
I mean, he flat out told you the Democrat Party is a dictatorship. I mean, he leveled them, and they're like, yeah, and, you know what I mean. So at this point, the people on the left cannot deny that Democrat royalty has told you what's going on. You can no longer say that you haven't been told. Yeah, you can say, well, Trump's on the other side, so it doesn't count. And Trump can't even say it that well, but he's saying the same things. But this guy has been on your side his whole life. His whole family, his uncle was president who got murdered. His father was going to be president who got murdered. I mean, his whole family's been in politics our entire lives, and he's right up there at the top. That name, Kennedy. And if he had said other things, you guys would have loved him. You know, if he would have went with the deep state. But you've been told by a Kennedy that the government, the Democrat Party, is corrupt top to bottom.
Yeah.
And that's not Trump telling you that. That's a Kennedy, and that is a massive, massive thing for him to do. And they, like I said, you know, you're aware of it now. So go ahead and vote. If you want to vote, you still want to vote for that. You know what you're voting for now. You know it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So far, so good, man. It was like a perfect thing. Right time, good timing, I guess you could say. But there's like rumors that Trump's offered. I mean, maybe people are just throwing stuff out there, but offered to give him make him head of the CIA. For sure, him and Tulsi Gabbard are going to be part of the transition team. So all really good stuff, man. Like,
I think if he got a position in the White House, I don't think he wants head of the CIA. He does in a way because he wants to release the Kennedy. He wants to find out what happened to his uncle and his dad. But I think more important to him, he would be the head of like
the FDA.
Yeah, FDA or something like that. Because the food is the biggest thing for him. And he's right. He's telling Democrats, the people you are supporting are poisoning you and your children intentionally.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And they're still going to vote for the people who are intentionally poisoning their own children.
Yeah.
How insane is that? Like, how is that possible?
Well, it goes back to that. Yeah, it goes back to that mom video that we played earlier. This is historic. You know, for the first time ever, there's the candidate that's pushing for the health of the nation, and she's right. Here's a better version of that clip real quick.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's crazy?
Try to cut out that music. That's pretty awesome, man.
You know what's interesting that I noticed in that, and I noticed it the first few times, but I haven't put it together. This is like the third time I've seen this interview or this food. Mm-hmm. Like he just. Hello?
Yo, yeah, you're cutting out a little bit down. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying that 2 hours after he gets shot, he's on the phone with RFK. Hey, let's talk about the food.
Yeah, you're right. Like, what the hell? Yeah, if RFK admits that.
Someone just tried to kill him, and he pumps his fist, says fight, 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 and then what does he do? He goes back to fighting.
Yeah.
In 2 hours, he's already talking to RFK about the food crisis in America. And when he goes on with that food crisis, he's talking about the levels of illness in the country and how it's way worse than here, and how we spend 2 times more than anybody in the world on healthcare, and we're 79th in the country in health outcomes, behind Mongolia and Costa Rica. Mongolia has better healthcare or healthier people than we do.
Yeah.
Costa Rica has better health. They're healthier than Americans, and we spend 2 times more than any other country. Those guys ain't spending nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll watch the rest of it on the next one, and you'll see. He puts out all the numbers, and when he puts out the numbers, it's crazy. He talks about obesity. He says 100 years ago, if there was an obese person, they put them in the circus because it was so unusual that it was an attraction. People are like, never see this stuff.
Yeah.
He goes,
Really?
now
That's funny.
it's like 70% of Americans are overweight or obese.
Wow.
Yeah. But back then it was like nobody was, because people were eating real food.
Yeah.
So they're getting people sick on purpose in order to get them addicted, and then fund the pharmaceutical companies as well.
Yeah. And
And people are like, I'll vote for that because it's not Trump. That's it. That's it. You're willing to kill yourself and your children so that Trump's not president. Well, that's a genius move.
And then at the same time, they're dumbing down everybody with education and all kinds of stuff.
The level of stupidity here is,
yeah.
It's I still every time I talk about it, I can't believe it. Huh?
Yeah. No, go ahead. I think there might be a small delay, bro. So just go ahead.
I'm still like, it's just hard to wrap my head around. It is, all this stuff is so obvious. You don't have to be smart at all to see it, and yet people are still following this stuff. And most of these people, they're not really getting anything out of it. Like, I know the newscasters and the power players, they're getting lucrative stuff out of it, contracts, etc. So they're like, oh, I don't have any morals, so I'll take the money. But like regular Americans, unless you're working in the public sector, if you're working in the private sector and you're a regular American who's voting for these people, why? They're not doing anything for you. And matter of fact, they're intentionally trying to make you sick and your kids sick to enrich the government and the food companies and the chemical companies and the pharmaceutical companies. They're intentionally doing that, and you have your own guy telling you that. And I bet you still go vote for it. Why? Like, that to me is inconceivable that that's possible. That you can get anybody to vote for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna do right here. There's a little bit of a delay, Dan, so I'm gonna end it on just play that video one more time so people could just watch and see a historic video of Trump and Kennedy finally uniting.
Okay.
All right, brother. So then I'll hit you up afterwards.
All right.